Hello everybody. This is Kusho here, and now, before we do continue, let us give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. We had Deku. Deku, he has been revealed as a son of 682. The O5 Council have put it up to a vote as to what to do with him, and things have been rather intriguing. They've conducted tests on him, and they were able to get him from an anomalous fighting ring. He was one of the creatures they had. He was discovered after he killed one of their own Foundation agents, and someone put a bullet into his head. Now, this is rather strange. Right now they have evidence showing somebody was able to make a duplicate of 682. However, they used human DNA to fill in certain gaps, essentially making this a version of 682 that is in the infant stage. It's rather strange. He does not try to escape Foundation custody. As long as they give him food, all he will do is eat and sleep. That is all. He does not show violent tendencies. He does not show very many things. As far as they're aware, he is mentally an animal. He's like a feral child, in fact. And this is something that they do want to study. Dr. Bright walked into that room, and Deku did not outright attack him. However, it was only after Dr. Bright made a rapid movement that Izuku tore the man's throat out. Now, with that being said, the O5 Council currently have brought Dr. Bright before them. And Dr. Bright, he currently is rolled into the room tied to a chair, as somebody would have sprayed something into his face, and he does a return back to the land of the living. And Dr. Bright does begin to look around, a bit confused and a lot more, Hello, Dr. Bright. Hi. Not where I expected to be. What happened after the SCP? Dr. Bright, right now that is not your concerns. Right now you sit before the O5 Council. Now, we have much to discuss with you. However, we do want to discuss the behavior of the SCP in question. You mean the reptile's child? Yes, as you would put it. Dr. Bright, you are aware that this is a very strange thing for us to encounter, correct? I am aware, yes. However, it also has posed concerns to us. Dr. Bright gonna turn his head, and the other O5 Council member would begin. They found him, and from what they can understand, his genetics are unique. Fact of the matter is, SCP-682, they have tried numerous attempts at cloning him, let alone potentially even finding a way to use him as a Foundation asset. 682 is uncooperative and highly violent. Along with that, testing samples have had varying degrees of success, but none of them come close to what they currently have in custody. Izuku, as he has so adamantly been, Deku is an anomaly. The monster in their possession is the anomaly. There we go. Now, Dr. Bright does not sit there, and the members of the O5 Council continue. And Dr. Bright, he does not just go to sit there. Right now, him thinking about a few things. Deku is an anomaly, yes. However, he did not choose to exist. That he is well aware of. That he can understand. Izuku's creation is either an accident or on purpose, something that should not be. He is a monster made in a lab, and this is all they've got. That's all they are aware of. As far as they're aware, 682 has been in custody for years, and while he has had outbreaks, he's never gotten to the free world. So even if he could procreate, there is no way it should have been possible. there are no other members of his species around. One of the only viable options is a clone. And this, it does mean a lot. The Foundation are currently working on having assets and people track down information that can lead to the origin of Izuku, the origin of this monster. 682-2, as they have so adamantly named him right now, also is a worthy asset to study. And Dr. Bright, we're going to bring this up. Asking the O5 Council members if they really believe that trying to train this boy as a lapdog is the best idea. And everyone, they're going to turn to Dr. Bright. Him going to express. As far as they're aware, this is a child. As far as all of them should know, he shows curiosity. And in fact, he shows a lot. So, what are they going to do? Lock him away, feed him, and just not do anything? Hell, wait to see if he can naturally expire? Because if he's unkillable, he doesn't believe that is possible. As far as they're aware, at one point he'll want to go outside, want to leave. And at some point, he may develop the same consciousness 682 does have, the same mental state. 682 is a rather rambunctious monster. However, this one has not tried to break containment. Fact is, he knows that they feed him. Fact is, they wish to study him. And if they do try to at least enact termination efforts, they will be met with hostilities. And currently, Dr. Bright will go to bring something up. He does show intelligence because he has not been happy for the security team to interact with. He already knows what rifles are, along with the Foundation uniform for security, along with their task force. So, scientists are the only ones who can interact with him. As far as he's aware, this interaction is limited, but still, quote-unquote, hostile. And the members of the O5 do begin to look at each other, as the notion is put up to a vote. Try and tame this SCP. Try and see what they can do with it. Perhaps see about getting it more intelligent. See about, taming this wild child. And currently some members of the O5 Council do to raise their hands. It is put up to a vote. Try and get this thing to think like a human, talk like a human, maybe even dress it and walk like a human. If they can get it intelligent, they can reason with it, talk with it. And if it does show outright hostility towards humanity, then they can vote on what to do with it then. They can certainly, see about taming it. Or maybe just, finding a way to neutralize it. Now, other members of the O5 do sit there. And currently, one, we're going to bring up their own concerns. Currently, O53 expressing about how Dr. Bright needs to be involved with the project. And people do begin to turn their heads. And Dr. Bright is very intrigued, because this sounds like a good way to pass time. And currently, there is where O53 does begin to express. They could try throwing D-Class at it till it learns, not to hurt or kill. However, by the time that would happen, enough resources would be expended. Dr. Bright will take on the role of a lead researcher, and he will not be allowed or permitted isolated contact with the SCP. Fact is, if they leave him alone with it, there's no telling what he will teach it. There is no telling if it will take on Dr. Bright's antics and become a liability to Foundation assets. They want to keep this well above record and keep it here. Dr. Bright right now will be one of the primary researchers interacting with this SCP, along with even bringing in a behavioral scientist that has been able to monitor children, somebody who is skilled in child psychology, seeing about how to understand and deal with this phenomenon more. In this, the vote is currently approved. However, they do have to call in 0513 to be the tiebreaker on this. Now, members of the council do get to leave, and Dr. Bright is briefly then sedated and rolled out of the room. We're now him being transported back to Site 14, and there currently is Izuku, who goes to wake up in his cell and go to bring his hands down. We're now him going to stretch and somewhat yawn, and currently he does sit there, him looking around the room. It's a bit strange. In his mind, this room has become bigger. In his mind, this place is different. He was locked in a smaller room, not given much. He was not able to speak, talk. And this he does like. Currently, him beginning to make sounds and moving around the room. And people, they do begin to watch this. Currently, Izuku climbing up one of the walls and going to somewhat sit there. As he does, goes to roll around and go to turn his body. We're now him laying against the wall on his back, as he does go just think about a few things. Now, the room, it is currently lit up, and Deku does just close his eyes. Him with a lot going through his head. And there currently is the researchers, who are monitoring this latest thing. Now, we do actually have our researcher, they do just step into the room. And Izuku, he does a look down. Currently, him opening his mouth and going to get ready. He's expecting a threat. However, whenever a person in the quote-unquote strange outfit walks in, he just doesn't stare at them. They're very similar to that other creature he killed. And currently, they do go to cautiously and slowly walk into the room. One of them being to set down a few things, as there actually is Dr. Bright, who does come strolling in nonchalantly and going to sit down. We're now Deku turning his head and staring at that researcher, as they are wearing a strange thing on their neck. And it looks exactly like that one thing he saw the other day. Currently, Deku jumping off of the wall and landing on the ground. We're now one of the researchers being scared and being to move backwards quickly. And Deku, he will going to turn his head. However, he has to turn back to Dr. Bright, because his calmness, the amount of calm he is exuding, it does worry Izuku. He is not intimidating this thing in front of him, and that, it does worry him. If he is not threatening it, or being seen as a threat, it must be stronger. And he will have to fight and adapt. But Dr. Bright will going to do one thing. He's going to bring his hand into his jacket. Currently, him going to pull out some chocolate and then going to unwrap the wrapper. Currently, it loudly crinkling into the microphone. And Dr. Bright, he was just going to rip and tear the sheet metal that the chocolate is covered in. We're now him turning his head and crinkling the thing. And Deku does turn his head staring at him, before beginning to smell the air. And Deku, he does look at Dr. Bright. Right now, Dr. Bright going to break away a piece of the chocolate, and going to take a bite of it himself, as he will go to set the piece in his hand, currently down on the floor. And the person inside the room, they do begin to monitor Izuku, as Dr. Bright would spin around and face away from Deku, him showing that he does not perceive Izuku as a bit of a threat. And Deku will begin to move forwards. We're now Dr. Bright sitting there and waiting. And the researchers, they do begin to watch on. Deku does approach and take the piece of chocolate. He also is looking at many of the toys they have set down for him. And he does not bring his hand up. Right now him grabbing onto one of them and looking at them, before going to shove it into his mouth. And currently Deku, he does not find this to taste good. And that means a bit. Deku does sit there, however. And whenever Dr. Bright will get to turn around, Deku does a look jerky at him. Right now Dr. Bright staring at Deku, as Deku, he is ready to pounce on him at any moment. And he would gonna do one thing. Slowly but carefully bring his hand up and holding up the candy bar, before bringing his other hand up and breaking a piece off. Him bringing it close into his fist and holding it out for Izuku. Going to open his hand as Deku does sit there in front of him. And the person in the room, they just won't stare at this. Currently, Deku looking down at that, before his tongue going to shoot out. It slapping onto the chocolate and I'm going to pull it right into his mouth. And Dr. Bright, he does just won't stare at that, before going to laugh. Now, Deku will go to stare at Dr. Bright, turning his head a bit confused. And Dr. Bright, he will go to set down the candy bar. Currently Deku turning his attention to that, as Dr. Bright does begin to somewhat mess with the toys and show Izuku what to do. Now, currently these tests do begin to go on, and Dr. Bright, he is closely monitored along with Izuku. Right now they want to teach him quite a lot. They want to develop his behavior and see how things do go. For the first month, it is rather strange. Deku, he does begin to show signs of intelligence, messing with the toys they give him and even them trying to change up the food he's eating. He goes from being a feral creature that eats raw meat to cooked food, and then beginning to play with toys. And it is rather odd. The first month does begin to show development, along with the fact that Izuku, the more you interact with him, the more he is beginning to understand the language you are speaking. Now, it does take some time, and currently after about 5 months of trying to socialize Izuku, he has begun to reach a stage where he is not outwardly hostile to you. Fact of the matter is, he's comfortable around the researchers, and they believe it's safe enough to actually go in and properly examine him. Now, currently Dr. Bright does walk into the room, and a lot is beginning to happen. Now, in this time, Deku is still shown that he is wild. However, he is still willing to listen. Understand that if he does listen, he is rewarded with food. And that it's a very good encouragement. As right now, Dr. Bright does just don't sit there with a scientist. And they would try to at least ask if he can understand the words he is saying. And Deku turns his head, before Dr. Bright would try and say it again, trying to at least inform Izuku. They do wish to talk with him, and he is okay to talk. He's fine to talk. If it does make it more interesting then, if he does talk, he will see about getting him something to eat. And Deku, his ears do his own perk up. One of them, watching the, strange appendages on his ears, move around a bit. And these are believed to be extrasensory organs. Now, currently Izuku, he does go to open his mouth. And they can tell from the way he is talking, he does, hardly understand things. Now, this is rather strange. Though Izuku, he is showing more and more progress. And it is pending approval from the O5, but because of Deku's, behavior, they want to see about introducing him to SCP-5094, Miss J's Whiskets. It would be good. It would speed up a lot. They have been able to socialize Izuku, get him used to being around people. In fact, the last real incident they had was him attacking and killing Dr. Bright. And that was about 2 months ago, during a behavioral test that did take a little bit of a turn. Izuku has killed Dr. Bright 3 times. However, he has shown he does recognize the amulet the man does wear. However, he does show confusion at other researchers who don't wear the same amulet. Now, Currently, the person, they do to conduct the interview with Izuku, trying to see what he might know and see what he might do. And this, it does mean a lot. They gave Izuku a pen and paper, just to see what he might do with it. And whenever he did start to at least mimic human behavior with it, it was intriguing. Now, the O5 Council, they do begin approval for the 5094 testing. And Deku, at one point, he is sat in front of a computer and shown what to do. It's going to be rather good or bad. If he does show signs of hyper-violence like 682, it will not be good. It's believed so far that the testing has shown he is an adolescent. Mentally, he is a child. However, physically, he is not. He's strange. And currently, Izuku, after he does go through a few courses, he does begin to show improvements. And their actions with the anomaly 5094 does begin to help Izuku fill in the gaps in understanding. Now, tests like this would go on, and after about 2 days, there is where Izuku, he is deemed adequately socialized by the anomaly to properly give an interview. And we do currently cut to right there. The researcher does get to walk in, and Deku does want to sit there. Him just confused. A lot going through his mind. It's weird. He feels changed. He's thinking differently. He does still have these instincts. The ones that tell him to fight, kill, hurt. But they have been lessened. He does not have survival instincts. As far as he is aware, he cannot die. There is the momentary darkness, but then there's life again. It's weird. He doesn't know how to properly articulate it. However, the doctor, they do get to begin expressing that they are here to talk to him, and they are wondering if he is able to understand what they are saying this time. I believe so. Good. Good. So, how are you feeling? Different. Indifferent? I do not know. Yeah. It must be strange. However, what exactly do you believe is going on? Okay, let me pose this question again. Let me ask you, what exactly do you know? What is your last memory from before being in Foundation custody? Kill. Killing. Hurting. Fighting. Combat. Combat. Okay. Now, how long would you say that that persisted? Yes. Yes. All I knew. Okay. Okay. And for how long? Dago turning his head. The person expressing. Was it every day? Was it every night? And Izuku turns his head confused, not sure about the question. And the person will express. Okay. Every day means as long as the sun was up, and every night means as long as it was dark outside. And Deku turns his head. The person, forgetting for 1 second. This anomaly has never seen the sunlight. And currently, they do go to one sigh, before asking if somebody can please cut the lights in the cell, momentarily for 1 second. And the moment that is done, there is where Izuku does begin to look around. His eyes begin to adapt to the darkness as he does could hear the man say for them to turn the lights back on. Him gonna do so as Deku, he does feel the sharp twins of light hit his eyes for a second. However, his eyes do begin to somewhat adapt back again. I'm expressing. Right now, that was darkness, and this, all around them, is light. It is the opposite of dark. So he will ask again. How long does he believe that he was in their custody? Though, no, you don't know what a full day is. All the time. All I knew. Kill. Fight. Combat? Izuku, those words mean the same thing. Deku's staring at them. And it is rather intriguing. The designation given to him, 682-2, along with the information recovered, these people actually had a name for him. And it was odd. Though more testing might need to be approved. They might need to learn more. Maybe more socializing and another course of, well, being taught could help him out. However, the anomaly is trying to teach him more about words and behavior. Definitely the most extensive test they've conducted with 5094. But it does begin to help fill in the gaps. Izuku is an anomaly that was brought to the Fight Club. And ever since, he's been fighting and killing. That's all they've got right now. In this, it does fill in some gaps. However, the Foundation, they're a lot more adamant about finding out where he came from. So, they do immediately get Deku put on more of the class courses of 5094. And 5094 does begin to teach Izuku a lot more about words, understanding their meanings, and actually being able to articulate things properly in a way people can understand, fluently and well. And Deku, he does try to give out information. However, the information is a bit skewed. Because whenever he talked about his quote-unquote mother, things were strange there. They asked Izuku if he could draw a picture. And, well, not really the best thing to do. They need to teach him how to write, and then teach him how to draw. Or, well, if they can, maybe use an anomaly to fill in the gap there. See about what they can do there. It would be something good. Though, right. Maybe it's not the best idea. And currently Deku does sit there. Him, in his cell, as the person, they do to walk away. Because the questions that he was able to answer now have been intriguing. And there actually is Dr. Bright, who when the person is going to walk out, he does just don't stand there. Right now, him as a woman with red hair and a short build. Her expressing. So exactly what are they going to do now? I mean, the kid has not eaten. Dr. Bright, what are you doing here? I'm still a part of the project. And, as I've said before, fact is, he's not outwardly hostile. And he is able to now talk. So, I'm just saying, maybe treat him better, get him some better conditions. I mean, he's no longer a wild animal. Treat him like a human. He is a humanoid SCP, Dr. Bright. Yes, he is. However, if I am to suggest, currently somebody going to actually be on the man's side. And the person turns their head a bit confused. Because Dr. Bright is... Right, now after further consideration, that does make sense. Currently them going to at least put in a request for not only a proper uniform for Zuku, but even a proper room for him, a proper bed, and maybe even showering facilities. Yeah, it's going to mean a lot. Deku is more human like now in behavior. And fact is, if they do want to learn anything, they're going to have to work with this anomaly. It is working with them. And that is the best case scenario right now. And the O5 Council, they have been monitoring the situation closely. They have dealt with world ending threats and the loss of countless personnel to anomalies they should not have been killed by. It's a tragic thing. However, with Izuku currently going through tons of things, they can learn from him. They can use him. He has already shown that he is not like his quote unquote father, 682. And right now, that is one of the best things they do have. Deku, he can do anything. He is necessary. And the O5 Council want to put it up to a vote. How to use him, how to actually contain or even destroy certain anomalies that they cannot handle. It's simple. If Izuku can take on these anomalies, if he could kill them, then he could neutralize anomalies for them. He can take care of ones that have been Keter or even Euclid, or maybe even flat out help them create vaccines or even antidotes for certain anomalies. Like anomaly SCP-008, the zombie virus. As far as they are aware, it has a 100% lethality rate. And Deku, being unkillable, his body may find a way to either become immune to the virus or trigger an automatic response of his own immune system, burning the virus away or even creating white blood cells. And those white blood cells could be worth billions in research. So yeah, they have a gold mine they are sitting on top of. However, the dangers in using it are made quite aware. Izuku is a highly proficient killer. He is still an animal. He has been put through many physical trials by the Fight Club, and he is capable of taking down SCP-1788, the adult. And they are already aware as to how dangerous this anomaly is. This anomaly is a walking tank, a literal super soldier. And he's been able to take them down with relative, if not ease. He has shown moderate damage, and he has been killed by one. So he is unkillable to that thing. At least whatever amount of pressure was exerted on him already. He is immune to bullet fire, and as far as they're aware, headshots may not work on him anymore. They only have a small list of things that have actually harmed Izuku. They don't know the entirety of it. So, if they continue to kill or hurt him or, repeatedly kill, Izuku will get tougher. He will become a stronger anomaly. But at the same time, that is a double-edged sword. How loyal can they make him to the Foundation? How much can they use him before he would turn on them? What can they do to make him the most effective agent they have without making him, at the same time, something they cannot control nor stop? The presence here is simple. 682 is unreasonable, but this one, Izuku, he is. If you can rationalize with him and talk with him about a few things, you can use him to your advantage. Manipulation, if you do want to give it that harsh little word the Foundation doesn't like to use. They can take that. Turn him into one of their best agents. However, What happens at one point if sometime in the future he decides to turn against the Foundation? Everything they've done to him and exposed him to, they cannot use against him. They need to make sure to have ways to and counter him. Find out what they can use against him and use that. They know they can, well, you know, use gas, things that can incapacitate him as long as it's not killing him. But at the same time, what happens at some point if he is able to adapt to that, overcome it, build an immunity and resistance? It's simple. This is something they need to be careful with. On the O5, none of them right now are willing to vote on what to do. They are all aware as the, well, information present. So, for right now, it is left anonymous. It's not even put up to a vote. Using him for something would be good, but they need to find out exactly what they can use him for. Until then, they want to leave him alone. Let him build more trust with the Foundation until they are ready to deploy him as an asset. And this does certainly mean a lot. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.